Hi, Harvey Hook here. In this video, we're going to be discussing a question someone asked me from Facebook that is, what an airheaded slut question. So, the question is, Kimberly Block asks, do you believe women should keep their sensuality private so as not to be viewed as an airheaded slut? There's obviously personal energy behind this question, but what are your views on self-expression in regards to sexiness? Basically, you are always going to have potential people that hate you. You know, obviously, I say this very lightly, and it's very hard for a lot of people to comprehend this, but rejection is actually a good thing. Now, this is a cultural thing. When I mean cultural, I can often mean culture like a family culture. If you're in a culture with people in your life that view your self-expression of your sexuality as taboo, then they are going to be the ones who view you as maybe this airheaded slut, right? But I think you should do it anyway. Because, first of all, I know you, Kim, I know you specifically, that you're not. You're not this airheaded slut. And obviously the idea, people use slut as a derogatory term, which in actual fact, we could also use it for someone who's actually in touch with their sexuality. So that could actually be a really beneficial term. But what is really important to know, that as you mature into your body, as you mature into your own sexuality, as you grow in that essence, right? As you get in touch with that who you are, whether or not you're Kim or you're someone else who's watching this video, as you get in touch with that part of who you are, there are going to be people that oppose it. There are always going to be people that oppose it. Why? Because they are used to you having a specific role or idea in their life. And as fucked up as that sounds, that's the truth. You know, people are used to people being certain friends, and then they grow up. You know, for example, for me, when I started working on my business, when I started moving in this direction, you know, I had people who were like, what are you doing? This doesn't make any sense. And they try and put you down, or they try and put you back in your place by calling you things like airheaded sluts, because that's the only way that maybe they had, that's what they feel, because you're violating their view on the world. That same person is going to look at someone like Beyonce, who dances around doing single ladies, right? That same person, if you were to do that, they might call you an airheaded slut, but then they go and they look at Beyonce, or they go look at other people who are more expressive with their sexuality and be like, wow, that's so empowering. Why? Because they always perceived that person to be that way. Why? Because they perceived you to have a specific role in your life, or role in their life. So what I'd recommend is do the fuck whatever you were going to do anyway. So grow yourself, learn yourself, do these things that were going to make you more of who you are. And, you know, we're going to answer the second question about expressing these things, right? But you should do it and work on yourself, not out of fear of them, of what they are going to think, but to know that when you go down this path, they'll eventually accept you. And if they don't, then they only really accepted that part of you. And a really good story for this is, honestly, me starting this business and my mum. You know, when I was on radio for the first time, that was the first time mum stopped asking me to get a real job. Simple as that. Like, I noticed it because every other time, that was how she perceived the world should be, right? Everyone has a view of how the world should be. And then after that, you'll get to a point. You'll get to a point where you transcend with people in their minds, and then they will start to view you in a way that's like, oh, that's how you always were, you know? And I know you, Kim, you're an amazing writer, and people who don't know, shout out to Kim, things like that. But when you start becoming known for this, when that starts becoming your new paradigm, then people are going to start to understand you a bit more. They'll come back into your life, and they'll be like, wow, she was always like this. She was always this amazingly sexually empowered person. And it's really funny because you'll be like, you motherfucker, you did not treat me with respect before when I was trying to express this. And now you're like, why now are you like this? And it's like, people will always turn around. You know, they'll hate you when you change, and they'll love you when you succeed. And whether or not that's succeeding in any way, you know, just you learning to be a bit more expressive about who you are, you getting in touch with your sexuality, things like that. It's like, when you move in this direction, when you understand, when you grow yourself, you'll always have people who will try and put you down. And when you grow, when you sprout fruit that you can then help them, they'll be like, oh, I always knew she was like this. I always knew. You know, again, personal example, a really honest personal example. In university, I was always put down for being really fucking excited about everything, you know. I was always put down, I always ever said, like, you care too much about other people. And honestly, the fact that I'm so excited about things that I think no one else is excited about, that's my biggest strength, because I don't really care anymore, that I just do these things. This is why I'm the coach I am today, because I had the audacity to explore ideas that no one else gives a shit about. And I have the audacity to care so much about people when everyone else is so concerned about themselves. So this will be your strength. And when you grow up, when you move this, when I mean grow up, wherever age you're at, you know, when you get more into that power of whatever you're trying to develop and people are putting you down, like people will turn around and be like, you were always like that, you know? We always knew you had it in you. And they'll support you when you're successful and they'll hate you when you're growing. So it's not really something to get caught up about. But the second part of the question is, but what is your views on self-expression with regards to sexiness? Honestly, with anything, when you're growing, you want to have a platform in which you can express that better. You want to have a platform in which you feel supported. Because if you're around family or friends and they keep putting you down as being this airheaded slut, right? Then that's going to hinder your growth. That's going to hinder your growth as being the sexual person that you are, and that's not necessarily good for you. So what you need to do is create a platform, and Kim, I know you've already got a platform for this, I know this, where you can express that, where you're supported by a bunch of people, and only focus on those people. Any fucking haters, they go in the other category. When it comes to family, it might be stifled, but honestly, you need to like tailor it a little bit. This is called bespoke language. You know, you don't speak the same way to a kid as you speak to a grandparent. So tailor your language a little bit, just so they can understand it and they can start getting used to it. Because it might be too much of a culture shock for them. But after time, if we improve the relationship every day by 1%, you'll eventually transform it into the relationship that you are. That's how I deal with all my relationships. That's how my clients deal with their relationships. You know, when you're growing, when you're changing, it'll be a shock for some people. So it's actually okay to give them a little bit of pre-warning, give them some exposure to this, but not too much exposure. But have a platform where you can explore this fully, so that way, when you're actually developing that side of you, you can actually develop it fully. You know, you have a flower that is your sexuality, that is your sexiness, as you've referred to it as. You want to make sure this flower grows. You know, you don't have to show it to people who fucking hate flowers, but later on when they're like, yeah, she always had this amazing garden. I loved her garden. You'll be like, you'll know the real facts. So thanks so much for watching, Kim. Thanks so much. Anyone else? Love your questions. Ask questions. You guys are amazing. Make sure to leave a like if you liked this video, and if you did, then I like you. And make sure to subscribe, because if you don't, then yeah, haters gonna hate. I was just gonna edit it. It's like then, and then just like fade out.